Hello friends, welcome to your only channel Times of Coding. Today in our series Scala Express, we will learn how to use match expression. This session will guide us to control our business logic while programming. In previous session, we have learned how to use exception handling, and in this session, we will learn how to use match expression. From the name itself, it signifies that we are going to matches something, and out of this something, we will execute some expression, and then we will pick maybe one value out of the bunch. Now, and we will see how to write the match expression cases. First, I'm defining one list called ingredients, and this list I'm defining tomato, chicken, bat, and pangolins. I'm defining a usual for loop. With this yield statement, we are actually storing one ingredient. This for loop will iterate over the list, and then we will get one ingredient out of this for loop at once, and then we are running with match statement. Once we define this match, we need to open our curly braces, and then we need to define few cases. So here, first case I'm defining tomato, and for chicken, and then next case for bat, and then next case for default. When we write cases like this, our is equal to, our equality check will be by default check. So what happened first? Since tomato matches with tomato, we will get a debug message. Tomato is from veg family. Then for next iteration, chicken, and for chicken, we will get chicken is from non-veg family. Now next iteration is for bat. So out of this, we will get bat is from corona family, and then next is pangolins. So the default message in case of pangolins, we will get pangolins family is not known, eat safe, stay safe. If you compare this match expression with the Java switch statements, we do not have anything called break and continue. Scala leaves out these break and continue because you can think using break and continue with loops. But how will it behave with functions, especially in this functional language style where we do not define the function name? And in few cases, in fact in our upcoming series, we will learn how to use placeholder or partially implied function. So it is not really very feasible idea to keep break and continue with the language. That's the reason Scala is kept. And if you see, our match expression is very straightforward, unlike any other languages. And if still you wanted to use the break and continue, I will give you enough number of examples where you can work perfectly fine without having these break and continue even with the language, but you can utilize it in some or the other way. I'll give you the tricks going forward. So now we will see one of the example which you can relate to the break statements. Now here I'm defining few variables in one statement. You can also define an Scala. It's just like you need to use semicolons to delimit them. So first num is equal to 100, I is equal to 10, got highest is equal to false. Now you need to understand this variable functioning very clearly. You won't even require the break statement with our logic. So what first we are doing is we are defining while loop here, and here we are keeping one condition. I has to be less than num and got highest shouldn't be true. So here first condition we are keeping, it should be divisible by 2 and then it should be divisible by 3, and in number we are passing by default 100. And if this loop reaches to 96, it should get and it should keep it true instead of false, and then it should print I value. And here we are having one increment operation which is required to iterate through this loop since it is a while loop. Now when we execute this program, Scala give is 0, 6, 12, 18 and further on till the 96. So 96 is the highest number. When we landed into this highest number, we changed the value of this got highest variable, which was actually boolean type, and this statement was working as a break. Now to understand the continue functionality, I would like to give you the recursive example. So here I'm defining one factorial function. In this factorial function, I'm keeping one parameter called num, and this function will get us integer value. Now here I'm keeping if statement, if condition num is equal to 0, then it should print 1, or else it should get us num multiplied by factorial num minus 1. Here we are giving a call to recursive function, and now when we print factorial 4, it will get us the value called factorial 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2. So its expected outcome would be 24 as we have received after Scala execution. So with this, we have covered almost everything about the match expression. In fact, we do not have break and continue keywords, but if you see, we don't actually need them. Our language itself is sufficient to tackle these kind of use cases where we actually required break or continue types of keyword in another languages. We don't need here in Scala. I think we have covered everything in the controller structure so far, and it's the right time to have a variable scoping. You can define one variable with val and you can assign some value in it. And maybe by mistake or intentionally, you can define again same variable with some new value. Now, if you don't keep this val, Scala will give us reassignment to val problem. But since we are keeping val also, it will again redefine. And since we are using println here, it needs to get us the value of a. Now here I have used a Scala worksheet, so it will get us the value called 2. But if you see, technically what we are doing is we are overruling the value of predefined a. How we can organize these same name variable, we will see now. So we need to define these variables in a scope, and this is Scala scripting type of styling, which we can write with curly braces. And here we are defining variable b is equal to 1, and then inside this scope only we are defining b again with 2. If you see other languages, like your language will not give you option to define like same name in inner scope, but Scala do not limit us in any manner in such cases, but in fact it expects us to behave intelligently and write an intelligent code, so our interpreter should not get confused which value to pick where. Now here if you see in this curly braces, we are defining b is equal to 2. So in this scope, b will behave as 2. As you can see, after execution we are getting 2. And then we are defining println statement to give b value again. So here we should get 1 as expected. It was just for understanding purpose I have explained you the scope of variables and how you can manage it, but it is always advisable to define distinct variable names within their own scope for their literals. So far in theory we have covered how to use match expression. Now it's time for practical. First we will come to our IntelliJ. I will create one package called match expression. In this package we will create one Scala worksheet called example. Now the very first example which we have seen earlier is we have defined ingredients list with tomato, chicken, bat and pangolins like this, and then we have defined one for loop. We have iterated through all the ingredients. We have yielded the value out of this for loop, which we are calling ingredient now, and then we are running the match case. And here how we defined cases. So 1, 2 and 3 are having specific conditions called matching with tomato, chicken and bat. But in case 4, we are having default case. If our condition will not match in these 3 statements, then the 4th will be printed by default. So now I will run it, and if you see, for tomato we have got veg family here, for chicken we have got non-veg family, for bat we have got corona family, and for pangolins family is not known. Eat safe and stay safe. So this is the value in fact we have expected out of the execution. Now since Scala do not give us break and continue keywords, so after this content we were talking about one example where we were actually trying to see if we are very much comfortable with the break and continue type of logic designing, how we can do likewise things in Scala also, even though we do not have these keywords, but our language is very powerful. So we will see now how to perform such logic. So here I am keeping 3 variables. First I am keeping num with 100 and then I with 0 and then got highest variable. This will behave as a break keyword now for us, and this we will experience in this while loop. So first we are defining while, we are giving condition called I less than num and not got highest, so that means false will become true here and this will run fine. Then we are defining another condition with if it should be divisible by 2, and then second condition, it's a nested if condition, which is I should be divisible by 3, and then we are iterating over with the help of this increment statement. And then the break condition we are having, if I greater than 96, then it has got the highest, so it should be true, and then it should print the value. So now I will clear the previous outcome and I will run. Okay, so here we have got list of values and then we have got 96. So here we have achieved the highest value and our Scala execution gave us the value which we have expected. So you see, in fact we do not have the break statement, but we can design our logic in such a way that we do not require this break statement in Scala. Now it's time to see the another example which we have designed with recursive manner, where we have given recursive calls to factorial function. So here I'm defining one factorial function. It will print the int type, and then we are having if condition where num is equal to 0, then it should get us 1, else num multiplied by factorial num minus 1. I'm keeping by default 4, and then we are having println to print the result of this function. Basically, this statement should get us the product of factorial till 4. So here we have got 24, that means 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by, okay. So after that we have seen how to work with variable scoping. So here I'm defining two variables with the same name called variable A1 and A2, and then I'm trying to print the variable A value. So now we will see it has printed as 2 because this variable is equal to 1 value has been overruled by this statement because we have defined this statement in sequence. Now how we can write our code if in case we don't want it to overrule any value. So here we will define val A again, and here I'll keep println, I'll keep it A, and outside of this we would like to keep semicolon here, and our compiler will be just fine with it. And now we are getting 2 as we expected out of this block, and then we are getting 1 as we expected out of this println statement. With this example, we complete match expression topic. I hope you like my video today. You can subscribe our channel Times of Coding, and to get new video notification, you can press the bell icon. Thank you. Have a good day.